there, this is Midas Marnie, and today what we're going to talk about is Circle. I am really happy that they've come out of beta because I really think that it's important to the consumers that Bitcoin be fast, easy, and free. And so I jumped into Circle about a month ago and beta tested it myself. And I absolutely loved how fast it was. And it made it just so simple and so easy. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because I think it's a really critical product to bringing the mainstream into Bitcoin. And here's something that I think is really important for people to understand is that I've been in technology for 30 years. And to be honest with you, my clients don't care how IMAP, POP, SMTP, HTTP, SSL, or DNS work. They could really care less. And I think a big problem that has plagued Bitcoin right from the very beginning is that a lot of the techs, they get all excited about it, right? And they want to teach people how it works. But the thing is that the mainstream doesn't care. They really don't care how it works. They don't want to know how it works. They want to know how to use it. They want to know, will they be safe using it when they're using it? And I really think that Circle goes a long way to getting us to that point where, people are actually, using it quickly and easily. And so let me take you there. I'm going to share my page with you. Share my screen with you, which is the one that I want. Hang on, let me get it onto the right one here. And then I will share that with you. There it is. Okay, let's share that so that you can see my screen there. And now we are looking at Circle right here. Okay, so when you first go to the screen of Circle, you'll notice it's pretty friendly. And it expresses Bitcoin in a different way. It talks it as money. And really, that's what I see Bitcoin as. Bitcoin is money itself, right? It's your money, and you should be able to move your money wherever you want to move it quickly and easily. And you should be able to send it anywhere in the world, just like that. That's the way your money should work. And Bitcoin and Circle now allows you to do that. So I'm going to sign in. And we are going to see what Bitcoin looks like on the back end here. Now you'll notice that I used right there, I was using 1Password. Now, why do I use 1Password? I use 1Password because it verifies that the website that I am going to is actually the one that I intended to. So if I had gone up here and I had not seen Circle in my 1Password here, I would have known that a website was faking in being Circle. And so that's one of the reasons that I do that. The second thing that I do is I have set up Google Authenticator. And I use an app on my iPhone called Authy. And what that does is it gives me a Google Authenticator code. I'm going to pop that in here. And I can show that to you because that number will never be the same ever again. Okay, so here we're looking at a balance of my Circle account. And we can see I started using Circle on September 4th. And I sent $1 to a Bitcoin address. And then I received money from an external account. And I deposited money from my checking account. And then I received money from an external account, withdrew money to my checking account, withdrew money back onto my credit card, okay? And then I also sent some Bitcoin to people, okay? So we can see that that's all happening really quickly and nice and easily. So one of the first things that you want to do once you sign up in Circle is you want to connect your credit card or your debit card and your bank account. Now, I personally would recommend that you use a debit card rather than a credit card, and here's why. Because Circle allows you to have the Bitcoin instantly, as soon as you transfer that funds into Circle, it's available immediately. Now, what does that say to your credit card company? That says to your credit card company, in order to avoid chargebacks to Circle, right? Because people could easily do that to them. Here they've given you Bitcoin and now you're going to charge it back. That's a horrible thing to do to a company. And so, of course, they want to avoid that. So the way that they have their transactions set up is so that when you add funds from a credit card, it's taken as a cash advance. So be aware that if you add funds from a credit card, your credit card company may charge you a cash advance fee. So that's one of the reasons that I recommend using a debit card or using your bank account. If you use your debit card or your bank account, it is your money. It's free to move that money into Bitcoin. Absolutely free and absolutely instantaneous, okay? So that's a wonderful thing. Now you've funded your Bitcoin account. Now, is Circle safe? Well, Circle is a highly, highly funded startup. And it's run by a man named Jeremy Allaire. And Jeremy Allaire has been big in the tech industry. I've been his customer for years, actually. When we did all of our stuff on MacAngel.com, we had the MacAngel Academy. All of our videos were hosted by Brightcove, which is a company that he started after he started Macromedia. So he's back from the days of Macromedia, then into Brightcove, and now, just like me, he's a tech guy, and he sees the opportunity in Bitcoin, and he's moved into Bitcoin. So they've got significant funding, and all of the money inside of your Circle account is insured. Now, I don't personally like to have other companies having my private keys. As in the case of Circle, they technically have your private key to this account, right? So my recommendation is to you that if you're comfortable having your money in a bank, then that would be what's similar to having your money in Circle, right? Somebody else is actually holding the money for you, okay? Now, again, it's insured, so that's a great thing. That's really, really important. But I use Circle. Here's the way that I use Circle. I use Circle more for my spending money, right? I'm going to put a certain amount into Circle just for making my transactions. I'm not necessarily going to hold a lot of Bitcoin in my Circle account, but that's just me personally, because I'm kind of the old guard of Bitcoin, where I really do believe in holding your personal keys. We're not going to talk about personal keys today because, again, this is meant for the mainstream. I'm talking purely to the mainstream today. I'm not talking to all of you Bitcoin, aficionados and enthusiasts out there, because it's the people in the mainstream that we really need in Bitcoin now. Okay. And what is so important to understand is that Circle goes so far in really helping people to transaction Bitcoin. Like, for instance, before Circle, I had to wait I would buy Bitcoin and it would cost me 1%. And the exchange fee. And I would then have to wait 5 days before I could actually spend that Bitcoin or move that Bitcoin somewhere else. And that's a very different dynamic than when we see here in Circle. In Circle, it's instantaneous. The second I either do that debit card transaction or that credit card transaction, it is immediately available to be used inside of Circle. So that's really important. Okay, so let's have a look at transactions here. Again, this is just my rolling transaction list here. And let's look at sending money. So I can either send money, as you saw back here, to an email address. And we can see this person actually picked it up. That's why it's green. Okay, these ones, the people haven't picked it up yet. All right, and let's go back to send money. Or I could send it to a Bitcoin address. So for instance, let's say a friend of mine said that I want you to, put a Bitcoin, I'll give you a Bitcoin address, say in my email, I'm going to send that to you and I want you to send it to that. You could simply cut and paste that Bitcoin address in here and say the amount and send it. Super simple, super fast. Or you could be shopping at a page and you could actually have Circle act as the wallet when you go shopping. And let me show you how to set that up. If we go into the settings here, okay, and I'm still getting familiar with it, so I have to remember where it is. Let's go to security. Okay, well, let's talk about security for a second here. Google Authenticator. I much prefer Google Authenticator over SMS. It is just a better way to go. So my recommendation is choose Google Authenticator, download Authy onto your iPhone or your Android, and use that. It's better. If you don't have the capacity to be able to do that, or it's too difficult for you, by all means use SMS. That's perfectly fine. It's just not quite technically as secure as Google Authenticator, but it's better than nothing, okay? So always, always, always use some form of two-factor authentication, especially when you're talking about Bitcoin, okay? And you can also say that I want my two-factor authentication to kick in for any amount over a threshold. Okay, so I've said any amount over $50, I want you to tell me I have to use Google Authenticator. Okay, so this is another way of going, oh, somebody's trying to drain my account or something. I'm going to get a notification that, oh, it's over $50 and I can stop that transaction, right? So that, I think that that's important to do. And sending money as well. So withdrawing money or sending money to somebody over $50. And you can adjust those any way that you like. These are just what I personally use and I personally recommend. Okay, just like your credit card, $50 threshold, right? Okay. And linked accounts, obviously, I've added some bank accounts and I have added some debit cards and some credit cards. Okay, and let's look in advanced here. This is where I was talking about when we were sending money to somebody or we were going to a website, we could enable Circle to be the link handler. And basically what that means is that when I click on a Bitcoin URL, it will take me to my Circle wallet in order to complete the transaction, okay? And you could also hide your balances. So if people are looking over your shoulder, maybe you have a whole bunch in your Circle Bitcoin wallet and you don't want people to know, you can hide those. I'm not really worried about it. You guys know I have $4.37, big whoopee. I'm not really worried about that. Okay. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can now request money by either creating an address or a QR code, or you can send oh, this is sending a request. Yes. Create an address and you can send the person that address with a QR code and they're going to get that, or you can send it by email and then they can pay you with that. Okay, so Circle is just super simple, super easy. It's just your money, but now more portable and more movable than ever. Okay, now I just wrote this article on my website and I want to point out a couple of things here. Okay, so like I said, Bitcoin and Circle has the absolute biggest impact on the mainstream for Bitcoin by far. There's no other company that has had as much of an impact here. Okay. And again, I was saying, you know, people using the internet every day, they don't care how the internet works. They really don't. They just want to know, are they going to be safe, secure, and can they get what they want? Okay. And that's the same with the mainstream in using Bitcoin to move money around the world. All they want to know is, can I move my money quickly, easily, inexpensively, and securely? Circle goes a long, long way to getting you there for that. By the way, I was not paid by Circle. I'm not sponsored by Circle in any way, shape, or form. I'm just telling you what I think as a technologist, right? And my personal opinion of this. Now, merchants, here's the great thing, okay, to understand from a consumer point before we talk about merchants. From a consumer point, the thing is that Bitcoin, and this is something that we really need to help the mainstream to understand about Bitcoin, is that it is a push transaction, okay? So the difference is a credit card is a pull transaction. I give you my credit card, you pull money out, and I'm hoping that you will pull only the amount that I authorize. And I'm hoping that you will secure my identity, and I'm hoping that you will secure my credit card information, okay? Now, what you don't realize is that hope and pray comes cost and expenses and overhead, okay? Now, let's look at a Bitcoin transaction. It's totally different. A company asks you for money and you send them the money, okay? Just like, you know, with cash, as somebody, you're in front of a company and you push the money at them, right? That's like a Bitcoin transaction. You're pushing the money at them and you only give them the amount that you authorize to give them, right? Okay, so that's the difference. It's a push transaction. Now, a Bitcoin merchant can never, ever, ever, ever reach back in to your account and grab more money than you authorized. That's a key thing to understand. It's a really, really important thing to understand because it's totally the opposite of a credit card, okay? So why do merchants like this? Well, because you are pushing the transaction and you have consciously authorized the transaction, the need for chargebacks simply goes away, right? The whole reason that chargebacks were created at the beginning was, oh, what if, you know, I had authorized, they had taken more, you know, than I had allowed, that, or I didn't really authorize the transaction. That's why chargebacks were originally created, okay? So now it's moving more back onto the, you know, buyer beware, right? So you really want to think about the company that you're sending the money to in doing a Bitcoin transaction first and deciding that that's something that you really want to do, because now that cannot be reversed, okay? But here's something that happens as a result of that. First of all, all Bitcoin merchants that I work with, I help companies to accept Bitcoin. That's what I do. And all of those companies, I really encourage them to use a review system. So like, for instance, on our website, if you click here, you can see reviews, right, that our customers have given us in working with us. I think that's going to be more and more important as you are dealing with companies in the Bitcoin space, because if they have a review system on their website, then they can prove that they're good operators, right? Or they can, prove to some degree that they're good operators. So I think that reviews are going to become more and more important, okay? But here's what happens as a result of, let's say everybody decided to actually start accepting Bitcoin, okay? The thing is, right now, credit cards realistically are costing merchants about 7% to accept. Why 7% and why not the 2.5% to 5% that we talk about all the time? Because a lot of people ignore the fact that we have to pay PCI compliance and fraud prevention on top of our credit card transaction processing fees, okay? So if I decided to stop accepting credit cards completely, which one day I absolutely want to get to myself, then I would be able to decrease my prices by 5%. Why? Because when I accept Bitcoin, it's 1% or lower as a merchant. That's what it costs me, 1% or lower to accept Bitcoin, okay? So what that means in the end is that if consumers start paying with Bitcoin and then merchants can now decrease their prices, that's, about 5% more money back into your pocket, back into your family's pocket, and less to the banks and the middlemen. And it's all by using technology. I think that that is really, really a wonderful thing. And I hope you understand really what an impact that can have. Now you are really much more in control of your money, much more in control of your ID. And you're making the calls rather than having banks and credit card companies and other people making the calls and people reaching in and just taking money out, right? And, you can read a simple example, go on to my blog, onto my website there, a simple example of what happened to me the other day with a credit card. It was just ridiculous. I went to a diner in Encinitas. And my lunch, or it was dinner, I think it was my dinner. I was having a hot pot. That's what it was, a hot pot. And the waitress gives me the bill, right? And the bill is $12.65. And then she comes back, and of course I give her my credit card, right, to go and pay for the bill of $12.65. She comes back and my credit card has been ran, and it was run for $23.65. And I'm like, excuse me? It had changed in between here and there. And I'm like, how did it get to be twice as much in between here and there? And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The other waitress there, she charged the wrong amount on your card. And I'm like, okay. And so I give her my card expecting that she's actually going to refund my card. No, she doesn't refund my card. She charges the $12.65. So now there's $36.30 that they have authorized on my credit card. And I'm like, what about the $23.65 that you just, she goes, oh, don't worry about that. That'll come off when we don't process the transaction. I'm like, okay, yeah, but it won't come off for 3 days. So basically my money has been held up, $23.65 of my money, or $36.30 for 3 days, right? And that's just through no fault of my own. I didn't have anything to do with that. Now, here's what would have happened had that happened with Bitcoin. She would have given me a paper bill with the QR code with the amount. And then I would have scanned that QR code, checked that it was the amount, and sent the money. End of story. That's it. And it's like 2 seconds and it's over. And none of this other bullpucky had happened. So, you know, one of my followers, it was great. I was so happy about this. Nick Kirkpatrick had made a meme of me. And, you know, when I give credit card payments to somebody, I'm giving them my private information. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, it's crazy. I wanted to send you the money. I just wanted to send you the money. And that's it. I didn't want to give you my credit card, my personal details. Nobody needs to know. Nobody on earth needs to know where I'm spending my money, when I'm spending my money, unless I'm doing something bad, right? If I was doing something bad, I can understand that, okay? But nobody needs to know I was at the East Village Diner. Like the credit card companies know exactly where I was and when I was there and how much I spent. That's my private information. They don't need to know that, right? If I had spent cash, no one would have known. Or if I had not posted this on my blog, nobody would have ever known, okay? But I'm using it as an example of how much information we actually give away, right? It's just crazy. And I really do think it's high time we take more control of our money and, you know, we start really getting to a place where, you know, we start driving our money and we start controlling our money rather than the banks controlling our money. So I'm going to wrap up with that. I do recommend that you watch the video here on this blog post on my website and then go back and read this where I beta tested Circle the other day. Because it talks about that, making sure that you don't use your cash advance on your credit card. So do use your debit card, okay? That is it for today. I hope you really enjoyed the show today, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and say goodbye to you. I hope that this helped you out today, helped you understand a little bit more about using Bitcoin in the mainstream, also explaining it to the mainstream, or rather showing them how to use it in the mainstream. Please do donate to our show so that we can keep our show going. And next week, I have a special guest on the show, Ariana Simpson from BitGo, and she's going to talk to us about a multi-sig wallet. And multi-sig wallets are really important. I recommend them to all of my merchants that are actually accepting and holding money in Bitcoin. As a company owner, obviously, just like with a bank account, you want to have multiple signatures on a bank account, right? So it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Having multi-sig wallets for corporations, I think, is really important. So we will be talking about that next week, October 9th, Ariana Simpson. And I hope you really enjoyed the show today, and nice talking with you. Bye.